and welcome to the Rik Fox Story. This is an ongoing series we've been doing with my good friend Rik Fox. It's been a while since we've done one of these, but I thought it was kind of time to do another one, Rik, to update people on what you're doing now. Now, we're going to be talking a lot about this CD, Freakshow. It's called So Shall It Be. Now, to let people know, you don't actually play on the CD, but you are part of a band. You've been in the music videos they've done, and I know you're going to be doing some of the live shows. So let's start this off with talking about Freakshow. How did you get the gig?
Well, you just pretty much wrapped up everything.
I'm just going to give people an introduction of what we're talking about, you know?
Yeah, that's we're encapsulated right now. So what happened was, the story of this is, I'm looking at Facebook one day, and somebody posted a picture of Steel Panther.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay, that they had played in America's Got Talent.
Yeah, yeah.
And everybody's going, why are they on there? They got like 8 albums out. They don't need that kind of attention. Everybody knows who they are.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, when they were on TV, before they even played a note, the whole audience stood up. They had a standing ovation before playing note 1.
Yeah. Wow.
Anyway, so well, they were popular. So anyway, in the discussion thread below the picture, I said, how come I'm not in a band like this?
Yeah. Yeah.
And a bunch of people started answering, going, yeah, how come you're not in it? You should be in a band like this. Well, as it turns out, I guess Divine Providence directed Greg Chaisson to see. He saw that comment in that particular thread, the discussion thread.
Wow.
And he tagged Ronnie Borchert's name, and he says, let me reach out to this guy. I said, who is he? I don't know who he is. And he says, and then we talked offline. He says he finished recording an album with this band Freakshow, and he can't commit because, you know, he had his own band, Atomic Kings, which he just left recently. But you know, they had just released their own album.
Yeah.
So he had that, you know, and then he's got his music store in Phoenix, his guitar store, Bizarre Guitar, you know, and his family's there. You know, he's settled, and he said, I got other commitments. I can't, you know, jump in their gig. So Greg had talked to Ronnie, and Ronnie said, well, can you recommend somebody? And he said, the first thing out of my mouth was Rik Fox. He says this music, this material has Rik's name written all over it. It's like 80s rock. He goes, look, Rik's a good bass player. He's perfect. This material has his name all over it, and he'll promote the hell out of the band. Yeah, because everybody knows I promote something when I like it.
Sure.
And so Ronnie went, okay, and then so he talked to Stet, and then Carlos, and then he called me up, and he says, Stet gave you the you know, thumbs up of approval. He said, he goes, yeah, he goes, I love Rik. He goes, you know, Rik and I have been friends for a long time, so this would be, yeah, he'd be great. I'll give you the thumbs up on that. And he talked to Carlos, and Carlos says, yeah, Rik's a good guy. You know, we worked briefly. When there was a possibility, I was going to do a South American tour with Quiet Riot in '85 or '86, while Sid was in the studio recording, because Kevin had got my number, called me up in the middle of the night in some drunken frenzy, and told me that they had kicked Rudy out and they were going to do a South American tour. They needed a bass player, and my name came up recommended. So you know, through a series of dramatical things that had nothing to do with me, I didn't get that particular gig. But you know, I was working briefly with Carlos, you know, because I had the Frankie gave me the cassette tape of their set list, which I was learning. I was woodshedding at home in Venice, and then I would go over to Carlos's house. So I was working with Carlos like that. So Carlos and I, the point is, we worked together briefly. You know, we all got along. We're all friends. So Ronnie goes, you got the gig, you know, and there was two other big, you know, A-talent list guys in the selection. He says, but you got the gig, you know, and like that. So
you know, that's why I love talking to you, Rik. You always got these stories. Like I've talked so many times with you over the years, and a story about almost getting the Quiet Riot gig. I never heard that. So that's great, and I love the fact that you got the Freakshow gig through your friend Greg Chaisson, seeing you comment about something on Facebook of all things. How cool is that? I mean, it's just a great story, you know.
It is. You know, Greg and I got closer over the last decade because, well, I had posted in one of the Facebook bass player groups, you know, that I had, you know, who my influences were. Then out of the 70s, you know, Humble Pie, Grand Funk Railroad, Uriah Heep, and bands like that. Those were my roots. And Greg was like, wait a minute, those are my roots. I grew up listening to the same guy. So we kind of bonded on that, you know, and that's why we started to talk, you know, offline, just talking to each other. And then, of course, Greg's a cancer survivor.
Oh,
you know.
yeah, of course. And now let me ask you, Rik, now, were you aware of any of the stuff Ronnie had previously done with his band, Miss Crazy? Were you aware of any of that?
No, I said I had never heard of him. I had seen the original Freakshow was put together by Ronnie and Jeff LeBar from Cinderella, and I remember seeing, it was back obviously when Jeff was alive. I just going, as you just scan through stuff on Facebook, that Jeff was affiliated with a project called Freakshow. And I went, oh, Freakshow, okay, well, and I didn't really give it too much thought. I just kept going with what I was doing. There was nothing about it that jumped out at me about it. Yeah, Jeff and I talked about stuff in the kitchen because he was a chef. Yeah, you know, I'm like a chef. I do cooking, so we're like mad scientists in the kitchen. So we talk about stuff we do in the kitchen. We weren't talking about music. Yeah, you see. And Billy Sheen is like that. He's a chef too. So we're all these culinary rockers, and so that's where it came on my radar, but then went off real quick. And the original lineup of Freakshow, as Ronnie tells it, was with Jeff LeBar. Frankie Benelli was on drums, and Tony Franklin from Blue Murder was on bass. So that's a super group right there.
Right there, yeah. It's like, and how can he possibly replace, you know, a lineup like that? But he's done it, you know.
Well, there was some political drama and personal drama with Frankie. Yeah. And the whole thing kind of went south, and they broke up. Yeah. But Ronnie had apparently put out like 20 some odd albums under Trixie and Amsterdam and Miss Crazy, and he toured around, you know, here parts of the country here and there. He's kind of more like an underground cult figure.
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story how me and him first hooked up years ago, of all places, if you can believe this, on MySpace, was through his band Miss Crazy. And I don't know if you know any of the story about Miss Crazy. They kind of, when MySpace was first launching, they blew up on all over MySpace. You know, they had a ton of fans. That's how he got his start. And their albums were selling like crazy. But you know, kind of like Facebook has done. Eventually, MySpace kind of shut them down. And but you know, Miss Crazy too. They were very Kiss influenced. He would get dressed up in the makeup. And what's interesting, people to check the stuff out. The music's quite good. It's quite different from Freakshow. In fact, he's really kind of changed his sound, his voice, and he's got the ability to do that, which I think makes him a really remarkable singer.
That's true. Very true. I didn't even hear the first Freakshow album until recently. Another DJ played it on another podcast show. And I'm sitting there going, it sounds just as heavy as this one. The songs are just as good. Ronnie's a great songwriter. You know, I can look into his lyrics. I can see where his soul is right, his heart is writing from, like that. And he writes really good arrangements, catchy stuff. He should have been bigger years ago.
Sure.
You know, but there's people in the industry. There are negative people.
He's still here in spite of it, you know, and he's still quite successful, because even with the new Freakshow, it's been selling quite well. It's called So Shall It Be. Now let's talk about some of the songs. I think the first video was for the song Loving You, Loving Me, which I think is a pretty good rockin' song.
Well, it wasn't much of a video. It was more just like the lyrics. It was a slideshow of lyrics. Yeah, okay. And that's the first song I listened to. I went, wow, I sat down my bass. I tried to pick it apart where, you know, what the structure was. And I was playing that song. And I really didn't know any of the other songs until they flew me to Reno. We all went to Reno and went to to do the videos there at about a big sound stage. And I didn't know what songs we were going to record until we actually got there, and they decided, you know, we're going to do You Shine and It Hurts Me. So when they were doing the playback over the house system, I plugged the bass in, and I'm sitting on the drum risers, and I'm trying to learn the song so I know where to put my hands. on the neck, like that. And so I learned those songs on the spot, pretty much.
Wow. I love
like
that. And
Yeah.
like you're very right. Anybody who doesn't know the Freakshow story, you can go, and I think it's eonrecords.com, and you can go and you can get all the stuff he's put out, include the two Freakshow albums. What's interesting about Freakshow is, like you're saying, if you didn't know the story, you'd almost think it was the same guys in the band. They sound a lot alike, as far as the songs and the way he writes the songs. So even though they're different players, I think it's interesting because they very much with just two albums developed the Freakshow sound, if you will.
Yeah, it does have a consistent sound. That's the way Ronnie writes and produces, and worked on it. I think he said the first Freakshow album took about a year to do.
Yeah.
Because a lot of nope. It's nowadays everybody, we're all so spread out. It's very difficult and challenging to get everybody together in one place to do that kind of stuff. So people do it at home. They do the recording here or there, and then they send the files back and forth to each other like that. So, but I don't have a recording facility here at my house yet. So anyway, for the video, we had to be all together in the same room as it was. So that was the first time we were all together in the same room, and it was fun. We all got along great. Stet and I go back to like probably mid to late 80s.
Wow.
I was working in Hollywood for a moving company called Starving Students. They had a whole fleet of big van lines, like that. And Stet happened to come in for a job, but he had this other rock and roll guy with him. And the three of us, three rocker guys, we'd go out and move in people's, apartments and whatnot like that. So that's kind of how we bonded on that level. And of course, Stet went on and got the gig with W.A.S.P. He was with them for like 16 years.
Yeah.
And we've always maintained a friendship no matter what. And it was, I think, 2018 or 19. I played at a All-Star Jam at the NAMM show for one of the guitar companies, and Stet showed up. Stet came with his wife Heidi, and Heidi and my wife immediately bonded. Tara and Heidi got along like peas and carrots. And Stet had just was finishing up his convalescing because he's another cancer survivor.
Oh wow.
Stet, yeah. So Stet came to watch me play, and when we played, we hung out like that, And so it's not like they don't know that I can play or not. Just, if you're not on somebody's radar, they don't know that much about you. They really don't think that much about you. But if you're present in front of them and you got their attention, then they'll check you out and see what you're at. So this is going to be a great vehicle to help give me some new blood, give me some new energy, because I'm sitting here in Missouri going, what's next, Lord? God, show me the way. Where do I go from here?
So Rick, let me ask you about that. Are you happy in Missouri? Do you ever thought, okay, now that I'm, now I got a steady gig right now, would you ever consider moving back to Los Angeles, or are you happy where you are?
No, moving is, in and of itself, everybody knows moving is traumatic.
Pain in the,
yeah. And I still have my dad's research library. I have all my stuff. I have so much. I have boxes I haven't even unpacked from when we first got here.
Yeah.
So moving is not an option right now. And you know what? The way the world is going, the way the world is right now, Missouri seems like a safe place.
I mean, you're right. It's a unique thing to think about. But like you're saying, modern technology. I mean, just how we're doing the interview today. You don't even have to be in the same location. Be in different parts of the world, different parts of the United States, and you can still do this. I mean, the fact you tell me that you got hired, you got the gig over the phone. That's pretty cool. Didn't even have to go down and audition.
Well, I mean, make no mistake. I talk to Ronnie all the time. He goes, "Dude, I can't wait to get in a room and play. I can't wait. I'm feeling it too. It's going to be so exciting to finally get in a room, the four of us, and play. We're going to be like kids in a toy store."
Rick, when we've done these interviews in the past, you kind of laugh because, I'd introduce you like the legendary Rik Fox, because anybody that knows the name Rik Fox, you've had quite the career yourself, and it's been more than just music. I mean, in some of our past shows, you touched on the fact you took a break from working in music, and you worked in the movie industry. You've done a lot of different things, and then even when you started get back into music, you played in a couple of tribute bands, a Montrose tribute, a Deep Purple tribute. you know, you're telling me stories about you were going down to, you know, Ultimate Jam Night and you played a couple of those, but people didn't really want to let you play or something. But you know, you've never totally went away. And I think if people take the time to even go and check out the Rik Fox Wikipedia, they'd be quite interested in all the stuff you've done over the years.
If they're so inclined to be interested enough to check it out, you know, I'm grateful. But you know, there's so much going on. Everybody can't. Yeah, it's what I call the short attention span theater.
Yeah.
You know, people only have so much time that they can spend thinking about or looking at something because there's something else pulling in one direction or another.
Yeah.
So,
I'm so
and with
happy,
media
Rick,
and
that you,
everything.
yeah. I just want to say, Rick,
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you that you got this gig. I mean, it's a great gig, like you said, and you're in with some great musicians. I mean, Ronnie is a great frontman, a great songwriter, and like I did an interview with him recently, and we're talking about all these records he's done, and I'm aware of some of them. And you know, like if you look at what some of his Miss Crazy videos, you know, where he's getting made up, he's got like he told me like I really kind of when I started doing Freakshow, I wanted to change my voice, and it's almost you wouldn't even know it's the same guy singing. That's what a talented songwriter and performer he is. You know.
You know, there's as a scream like a whale.
Yeah.
W-A-I-L. There's a wail, like a banshee
Yeah.
wail that Ronnie does on "Loving You, Loving Me," and he also does it on the song MSM, which I think stands for mainstream media. And
Yeah.
he's got this
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm telling you, Jason, the hairs go up on my arms.
Full on
It's like
shreds.
he
Another one
raises
of those
all it.
songs. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
hair goes up on my back.
Wow.
It's I've never heard anybody do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I mean, Blackie's got an usual singing voice. Lemmy had a singing. There's guys that have the usual qualities in there. And Ronnie, I've never heard anybody do that, and it makes the hair go right up my back when he does that. So,
And I think further proof of that is you just check out the latest single. It hurts because that's probably the most kind of commercial sounding song in the whole. Everything else is kind of pretty heavy and aggressive and kind of full blown metal. Um, but I love it. It hurts me because I think that's the one track that can maybe hook people that aren't maybe into like really kind of metal. But
yeah,
it could.
Ronnie told me last night that song is actually dedicated to Jeff LaBar because
Yeah.
that's how he felt when Jeff passed away. It
Sure.
hurt him. So it hurts me that you
Yeah.
passed away. And he told me the reason why Jeff passed away, and it would be too controversial to bring it up because
Sure.
it'll divide people. But
Yeah.
it was a medical thing,
Sure.
and I understand it now. So I
Yeah.
understand, and you know, because Ronnie and Jeff were really close, and Jeff was a sweetheart. He was a good friend of mine, and so you know that's what the song is about. It's about his loss of losing Jeff as a dear friend. You know that's why it hurts him like
Yeah.
that. And you know, the melody and the arrangement, when I heard it, I said, you know, because I've been around longer than a lot of these guys,
Sure.
it takes me back to 1975 at Max's Kansas City, the club in New York, and the songs they had on a jukebox. And I hear a little bit of Lou Reed, Sweet
Sure.
Jane.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of Bowie, Heroes, in the arrangement, the way it's made. And it's just the lyrics are sad, but the music counterpoints that because it's such a happy sounding song.
Yeah.
It
You
just
know.
pulls you right in.
Yeah. I mean, I've experienced that with some songs in the past. I can't really think of one that comes to mind right now, but that's a great point you made because oftentimes you know you hear a song and it sounds like a pretty happy song, and it's upbeat. And I've had a couple people tell me before, oh no, you know, I wrote that song when I was feeling depressed. I'm like, wow, well, you know, it got me feeling upbeat. It got me feeling good. So, you know, it kind of served a purpose. And if he's able to kind of pay tribute to his fallen friend, I think that's pretty cool, you know.
Yeah, and following Greg's bass lines, you know, I think I've got pretty much 98% of it down. It's a great bass line. He's got some really great walking bass lines in there. That again, like you said, it's right up my alley. I have so much enjoyment playing "It Hurts Me," that arrangement. You know, it's just there's certain songs that just touch you in a certain way that just get you inside, touch your heart and soul. And that's what I feel playing. And It Hurts Me. It's a really great song to play. I've now put a little bit of my own feel in it, like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I stay true to the song,
Sure,
but
sure.
I put my feel into it that way. But each of the songs, Jason, on the album is a little bit different than the other one.
Yeah, yeah.
Get It Ready is like reminds me of Motley Crue and Dokken.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
And Ice Cold Hands reminds me of Rob Zombie.
Yeah, I like that one too. Yeah.
And then what the hell he's got? Well, So Shall It Be is dedicated to Jesus. It's a it's kind of a Striper song,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
structurally like
Yeah.
that. But Wendy, which is Ronnie's wife,
Okay.
Wendy sounds a lot like W.A.S.P.
Yeah, I like that one too. Yeah, Wendy.
It's like a locomotive, and like that. So Ice Cold Hands, Love Me, Tell Me You Love Me reminds me a little bit of Nirvana.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
has that kind of almost a Nirvana feel and an arrangement to it. Um, full on shred. Oh my God,
I love
that's
that. Yeah,
that's that's like Carlos Let Loose. It's all the whole song is Carlos,
yeah,
and that's what he does. He shreds. The whole song is we're gonna step back on stage, and he's just gonna be able to do whatever he wants, run everywhere, and we'll be back in the pocket, keeping that bottom going. And he's
yeah.
gonna that's all Carlos, letting loose.
And, let's talk about Carlos because Carlos, I mean, for years was just a guitar player in Quiet Riot, and that was a good thing. Don't get me wrong, but over the last several years, he's been involved in several other projects. I mean, he's no longer in Quiet Riot, but he was doing Ratt for a few years.
Yeah.
He's doing this, and from what I understand, he's replacing Robert Sarzo and his brother's band Hurricane. They're gonna be going out, so he's involved in all these other things. And you mentioned a little bit about Dad Howland having cancer. I remember reading a few years back, but he was also in a horrible car accident. Luckily, he's recovered from all that.
Yeah, yeah. You get a second chance in life, and he obviously was blessed with being able to do that. He's
Yeah,
a great guy. He deserves the top like a whole bunch of us do.
sure.
Carlos, he also did. He helped out King Cobra a little bit. He
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
well, the thing with Robert Sarzo, nobody knows or is talking about why Robert left Hurricane.
yeah,
I knew Robert too. So did my wife. Um, uh, they had some gigs booked in Europe that they didn't want to lose.
yeah.
So Tony Cavazon, Carlos, asked him, said, "Can you come and so we don't do the shows with us?" And the way, it changes depends on your perspective, how you look
Sure,
at it.
sure.
One side will say, "Well, yeah, he's replacing Robert," and then we talk to Carlos. He goes, "No, I'm not replacing him." He goes, "I'm filling in. I'm helping out with the gigs." He goes, "I don't know why it was put that way, but because people are saying, well, I thought he was in your band. Now he's in this band." I'm like, "Ronnie, what's going on?" Ronnie goes, "I
Well,
just talked to him. We're fine. Carlos is in the
well,
band. Don't
well,
worry
I'm
about it."
glad Rik Fox, you could clear that up, and the simple fact that you're friends with all these guys and you have all these connections. I had a chance to interview Robert. He's a super nice guy, and I'll just kind of leave it at that. Super, super talented, very much like his brother,
Rudy.
Rudy. And that's kind of how these guys all met. Was through actually, Kevin Dubrow and Quiet Riot and all that. So it's pretty cool that all these people. Carlos, I'll just say, like you said, not even talking about what a talented guitar player. I think he was very underrated for many, many years, and he's finally getting his dues. I got fortunate enough to attend the Metal Hall of Fame event last year. Let me just last week in Garden Grove, California, and I tell you, just his speech alone, you could tell how appreciative he is towards his fans, and just what a nice, humble guy. And I think it's nice to see somebody like that finally kind of getting recognized.
Yeah, he's a pretty quiet guy. He's like pretty low key.
Yeah, when he
But
was
man,
up
he
on
he
stage, he was kind of like, you could tell
yeah.
he was kind of shy, kind of thing what to say, but he came across as very heartfelt.
Yeah, it's you get that moment if you're blessed enough to get a reward and some kind of acceptance from your peers. Yeah, sometimes you really don't know what to say. And so he does his talking through his hands with the guitar
Yeah,
playing pretty
yeah,
much. So and that shows us, where he's at. I mean, he was right up there with Randy Rhoads with
sure,
with
sure,
Quiet
yeah,
Riot, all that. So So yeah, and he plays, you know, he's always playing classical guitar when he's not doing the rock stuff. So
yeah.
it's just it's a blessing to have him, you know, for me to be involved with these guys.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, it's icing on the cake. I'm just, you know, my gratitude knows no bounds at this point. So we just, Stet, I think, is working on possibly putting like a mini tour together.
Okay.
I don't know much. I don't know much more beyond that,
Yeah.
because he's the one with the connections. Stet's handling all the bookings
Yeah.
like that. So
Well, you know, you guys may end up doing a few more shows than maybe originally even planned for the simple fact I was reading, you know, he's also involved in Metal Church, but I read that they were having to kind of take a break from their tour because their guitar player, Kurt Vanderhoof, was suffering from severe back pain. So, you know, maybe that now the Metal Church is slowing down, he'll be able to play more with you guys, you know?
you know, they just finished a tour. They did some dates and stuff in Europe.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, when you get off of the one thing, when you get back home, you got to kind of like clear your head a little bit
Wind
and
down.
then
Yeah.
concentrate on. So that's got some things going on right now. He's working on. But you know, him and Ronnie are talking, and we're trying to figure out what we're going to do as far as getting some shows out there. You know, and then hopefully we can get picked up by a bigger act and be there with their support or whatever. I mean, it's a super group. Stet's is an
Sure.
A-talent guy. Carlos is an A-talent guy.
Yes.
I'm kind of below that. I never got to the upper top tier like those guys did. You know, and Ronnie has this fantastic underground cult following.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
the
and
cool thing. This really is a super group, and from Ronnie's perspective, it must be kind of fun because he's got Carlos Cavazon in his in his band, and Rik Fox and Stet Howland, and then Greg Chaisson was involved in the recording of the album. And right in, you know, like all these guys have had careers and they're famous and people know who they are, but he's got his own unique little fan base that he's had for years, and so you know, he's no
yeah,
slouch himself.
that's no, he's put out like I think 20 or 20 plus albums.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, I he was not on my radar, just like I'm not on some other people's radar. I
Sure.
didn't know who he was. You know, and Jeff and I never talked about it.
Yeah.
We didn't get into the part of
Yeah.
it. You know, Jeff was going through a lot of personal
Sure.
exercising a lot of personal demons
Yeah.
and some habits and things. He was trying to clear himself up like that and get back on the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
And then some medical things took him from us. So let's leave it at that.
That's a
So
shame.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah, it would have been a crazy blast if I could have been in that first lineup
Yeah.
of Freakshow. You know, that would have been great. But you know, it is what it is. This
Sure.
shit happened, and here we are today.
I mean, you know, just to touch a little on Jeff, I mean, super talented guy. Most people know him, of course, from Cinderella. And I tell you, he put out a great, I think it was an EP, a solo EP, like 3 or 4 years ago, where he was
Yeah.
singing lead and just kind of doing everything. And super talented guy. And I guess he'd been working on some plan was to release a full length album. I guess it never got finished, but anybody that's a fan of Jeff LaBar, definitely check that out. You can get it on Rat Pack Records.
Mm.
Pretty cool stuff. And a little bit I know, you know, people know what he was struggling with, and I think the other thing people know that that's why Tom Kiefer ended up going solo the last performance they did. Kind of he was still struggling with stuff, and I guess Tom Kiefer and other guys in the band just thought, you know, we're just gonna kind of wind Cinderella down. We want to go out, kind of people remembering us, you know, the way the band used to be. So Cinderella is
Yeah.
one of those bands too. Even for putting out only 4 albums, I tell you, I love every Cinderella album. Those guys are just super. They were again a great band, but I think very underrated. You know.
Yeah, they're kind of a little bit reminded me of Aerosmith. You
Yeah.
know, there's a lot of strains of Aerosmith. Tom
Yeah.
Kiefer was, you know, was a great songwriter. They had a lot of great songs. My
Sure.
friend Fred Corey was their drummer.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I knew Fred when he was playing in the band London in Hollywood.
Yeah.
He was still, you know, he was still a kid.
Yeah.
And he used to come over my apartment, you know, and he says, "I want to be in your band. I want to play with you and Sin like that."
Yeah.
And I said, "All right," you know. And he liked my songs. He loved my material. And then he went back east, and he contacted me. He said, "I got a gig in a band called Cinderella." And I went, "Who names a band after like a fan? Cinderella? Seriously? Who
Yeah.
knew? You know, who
Yeah.
knew?"
Yeah.
And so he played with Cinderella. So he got that gig, and then you know, he hooked up with those guys. So
Yeah.
like that, and that's that. So I mean, I've seen Fred a couple of times over the years, or he's if I'm doing a gig with Ron Keel or something, he shows up, he's in the audience and like
Yeah.
that, comes to say hi. So
Yeah. So
uh,
speaking of Ron Keel, can you update us anymore? I know you were working on some stuff with Steeler. Is there going to be an album? Is it going to be a
yeah,
song? Yeah.
I think Ron's working on an album called Keel World.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah, and so he sent me a track a few weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago, of
Yeah.
a new Steelers song. So I've got the rough tracks. I've been writing my bass line to it, and then I think he mentioned something about Vegas. We're probably going to have me and Mitch Perry come out there and do our tracks. Dwayne Miller already did his drum tracks; those are done.
Wow.
And then Ron's doing his vocals, and we'll have a new Steelers song. He said I've got about 17 more songs to work on. So
Wow.
this is just one now.
Yeah.
So there's a whole bunch more going on. So and I'm always looking forward to another Keel Fest.
Sure.
To do some live stuff. We never got to play American Thunder live in Nashville for
Wow.
the Rockin' Pod Expo.
Yeah.
You know,
Speaking of
so
Rocket Pod, have you heard from those people? Because I know you did the first two, and it's a pretty popular event.
well they had me on in 2019,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then they didn't do it for 20 or 21.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they did 21. Oh, they did 20, I think, and then they skipped a year. And so I was there this last March,
Yeah.
and then not the year before, but the year before that in August. That was my first one. So in 2023, they held it in March,
Wow.
and it was at least it wasn't my first time. Now I had an idea of how it's
Yeah. Yeah.
processed and laid out. And I had a signing table, my own signing table,
Wow.
right across from Rod Keel, like that. And
Yeah.
they originally had me listed for like 8 or 9 podcasts, interviews to do because my affiliation with Kiss and this and that,
Yeah.
and like that. He says a lot of people want to talk to you. You're like in demand. I'm like, serious? People want to hear what I have to say? Wow. But I couldn't do all of them
Sure.
because
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
we had the gig, we had the show to do at Bowie's, so I could only do 3 or 4 podcasts. And it's like signing table. Okay, Rick, we got to go sound check. So I was pressed for time.
Yeah. And before we wrap it up today, Rick, I want to say, you're a real like you said at the top of this interview today. Anything you're involved with, you just promote the hell out of it, and I think that's pretty cool because I seen, in fact, a couple, maybe a month or two ago, you posted something on Facebook, and Ron Keel was commenting how much he loved the new Freakshow album. And you're like, yeah, just to let you know, Ron, I'm involved with the band, but I didn't play on the album. And I think that's cool, to let people know that, hey, I'm in the live band, I'm doing the videos, but somebody else played on the album, and at the same time, you're still promoting the hell out of the band, and you're all pumped up about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I came in after it was already recorded. That's not I'm not the only person that happens to. I mean,
No,
look at
no, no.
White Snake did an album with John
Yeah,
Sykes and Ainsley
yeah,
Dunbar and all that. But then when it came to do the video, you got Vandenberg and Rudy
sure,
Sarzo
sure,
and
sure,
Vivian
sure.
Campbell and Tommy Aldridge. So you have guys who are not on the album in the videos.
No,
So
I mean, yeah, that's a common thing. The point I'm trying to make is I love the fact that you're so honest about it. I heard Chuck Wright in an interview, who used to be the bass player for Quiet Riot, talking about he had a fan once come up to him, or actually the other guys in the band wanted them to autograph this copy of Metal Health, and then and Chuck's like, well, I played on the album too. They say, no, I don't want you to, I want to get Rudy's autograph, stuff like
that
that.
was in that was in Frankie Bonelli's Quiet Riot documentary.
Yeah, yeah,
And there
yeah.
was
That's where I
a
saw it.
meet and greet. There was a meet and greet
Yeah,
after this festival, and the little kid goes up to Chuck. He goes, "I don't see your picture on the album." And he goes, "Well, I've recorded on it, but they had Rudy Sarzo's picture on the album."
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and the kid, he goes, "So do you want me to sign it?" And the kid goes, "No." And he kept, and the camera was on Chuck, and he just
yeah,
got so you could see him slow burn,
yeah. I
getting
mean,
mad.
yeah, yeah. You
You
can
know,
understand too, but it's like, oh, hey, I'm part of the band. I'm part of the story. I mean, that's how I would feel like my band. I said, no, Rik Fox, he's now the bass player in Freakshow. That's his gig. But Greg Chaisson, he recorded on that. And everybody's part of the history of a band, And you talk. I assume you know on the album probably how to play them now. You've kind of learned them. But what about the stuff on the first album? Have you learned any of that?
I heard a little bit. Yeah, I heard some of the first Freakshow album. I said to Ronnie, "Get me a copy. I want to hear it. I want to.
Yeah.
Maybe we can pick a song or two to do off of that too." And he goes, "Well, I want to concentrate on the new album."
Makes
He
sense.
goes, "But he says I'm waiting to get a copy of it from the label because he doesn't have an extra one."
Yeah.
But what I was going to say to address your thing with they did apparently at some point they did band pictures for this album with Greg like that, in a studio somewhere. But we also took pictures at the where we shot the video at that session.
Yeah.
So a girl came in and took band pictures and solo pictures of us. And so it was a really, really nice professional courtesy thing. They've got pictures of both Greg and myself.
Yeah, see, I don't know how well people can see this, but like this is kind of the pictures they include with you and the current lineup, and then they got like individual shots, Ronnie here and Carlos. So that's pretty cool that everybody's featured in there. And then if you read the inside cover,
Greg's
dedicated to Jeff LaBar, pretty cool.
Yeah. And Jeff's picture, Greg's picture is in there too. So they have both of us. They have both of us.
And I think by looking at the inside photos, they make it quite clear. Okay, these are the guys played on the album, and these other shots, that's the guys that are in the band now.
And you know what else is cool about that is whether you get the CD or the album, the LP.
Yeah.
You get the liner.
Liner notes.
You get they call it a liner. You get the lyrics. You get the you have stuff to read while you're listening to the album.
It's old school, Rick. It's old school. That's what I love about it.
Exactly.
Me personally, I love to get this stuff. On the work today, prepping on my way home from work, prepping for today's interview, I was listening to this, man, in my car.
Yeah. Ronnie said he wanted to throw it back to like we did, in old school, where you can look at the pictures of the band and here's the lyrics and here's who the band is thanking, and you have other things to occupy yourself while you're listening to the album. And that was.
And the cool thing about it, Rick, is if people want to get a physical copy, they can. If they want to go and get the digital download, you can do that too. If you want to get the vinyl, so you got your choices. And Rik Fox, I can't believe 30 minutes has passed again. I miss talking to my friends, so maybe I'll touch base with you again about a month. We'll do another one of these, okay?
Okie dokie.
Take care, Rick. Bye bye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, sure is.